A Whole New World, The Birth of an Army. "Twice in 1 week, Aladdin," Morgiana drawled. She and Dubon had obviously been engaged in some sort of tense discussion. They stood close and looked unhappy. "I'm honored." "You should be," Aladdin hissed, trying not to flinch when the little girl's dagger poked his wound. "Oh, let him go," Dubon said wearily. "Aladdin and his girlfriend are no threat to us." Morgiana nodded at the children, and they melted into the darkness like dreams. She flashed a quick white smile at her old friend. "And a mighty impressive girlfriend at that, Aladdin. Tell me, how are you and the royal Princess Jasmine acquainted?" Jasmine looked startled. Aladdin was surprised, but only a little. Under the dirt and blood, her clothes were still silk and satin. Above her braids, she still wore her crown, and those giant golden earrings were pretty much a dead giveaway. Morgiana was just faster on the uptake than he had been, undistracted by Jasmine's beauty from seeing who she really was. Plus, in his defense, Jasmine was no longer wearing a headscarf. Jasmine went cross-eyed, trying to look up at what Morgiana was indicating with the tilt of her chin. When she realized that it was her crown, she quickly took it off. She threw it at the thief's feet, where it hit the dirt floor in an ominous thud. Dubon and Morgiana, and even Aladdin, jumped in surprise. "Take it. I don't care. I've lost my father, I lost my tiger, I've lost my kingdom. What's a crown going to do for me?" "Whoa," Dubon said. "You didn't have to get rid of the crown," Aladdin said quickly. "You could have—" "If I wanted your crown, I would have taken it myself, Princess," Morgiana said. She used the heel of her foot to neatly snap it into the air and catch it one-handed. Then she walked over to Jasmine and held it out. "What's mine is yours, in my house," she said with the traditional welcome. "If you thirst, I have water." Jasmine took the crown back. Slowly, she began to smile. "I do, in fact, thirst. I would love a cup of water." "Please," Morgiana said, indicating the low table. Jasmine collapsed as gracefully as she could into lotus position. Aladdin sank down as well, in his own graceful yet jerky way. Dubon and Morgiana followed suit. The boy, Hazan, came forward with 2 cups of water, a plain silver one for Aladdin, a golden one for Jasmine. "Many thanks," Jasmine said, toasting them. She took a long drink, finishing it. Then she turned the cup over and looked at the bottom. "Ah, I knew it! This goblet comes from the palace. It's from the lesser banqueting set. There's my father's seal." Morgiana spread her hands out and shrugged. "You can't move those very easily because of the seal. No one will buy them. They can be traced back to the palace, and the punishment for theft from the palace is death. So we use them here." Aladdin began. Dubon also looked nervous. Jasmine waved her hand tiredly at him. "It was just an observation. I find my standards for right and wrong shifting greatly these days." Dubon and Morgiana exchanged a glance at the jaded tone in her voice. "You guys seem nervous," Aladdin said, shifting on his pillow and helping himself to some permissions and a quail leg from a platter. It was surprisingly juicy and well cooked. "Extra guards, lookouts on the street corners. Yes, I saw them. Even the well-disguised young woman in blue. I thought Agrabah was wonderful under its new ruler." "Not all change is good," Dubon muttered, drinking something that was very obviously not water out of his own cup, and then shaking the droplets out of his beard. "We thought the peacekeeping patrols would be usual market guard trash," Morgiana said, "but they are something else, something unnatural. Nobody knows who they are or where they came from, and last time I checked, there weren't caravans coming into the city carting dozens of identical soldiers from foreign lands." "And they have been keeping the peace very well," Dubon growled. "Just an hour ago, a thief was found tacked to the city wall like a bug, a dagger on each of its wrists and feet and neck and heart. Not one of ours," he added hastily. "There's also the little problem of inflation," Morgiana drawled, pouring herself some wine out of the leather flask. "It's no joke." "Inflation? Like money?" Jasmine asked. "What has that to do with anything?" "Do you see this orange?" Morgiana asked, spearing one from the table with her dagger. "A week ago you could get a dozen for a single silver shekel. Now, this one orange will cost you 20 gold darics, or golden jafars, or whatever you want to call the sorceress's coins." "When you can bring forth gold from the sky," Dubon explained, seeing Jasmine was still confused. "When anyone can reach up and take as much as they want, gold stops having value. like sand. Morgiana pointed her chin at the tiny piles of gold in the corner of the cavern. This is all basically worthless now. Aladdin was surprised once again at the mountains of treasure now buried under the desert. A strange thought occurred to him. Had this all happened before? Was the treasure buried not because of some mad old sultan who wanted his wealth to die with him, but because someone nearly destroyed the world by bringing too much gold into it? With the help of a genie, whose lamp was the only worthless thing in there. Maybe it was all hidden to protect people from the power of wishes. He rubbed his head. Deep thoughts were not usually his thing. He suspected that was changing too. This can't have been part of Jafar's plan, Jasmine murmured. I don't think he foresaw this. You said there was a bigger plan, though, right? Aladdin prompted. Something worse? Worse than worthless gold? Morgiana asked archly. I have a hard time imagining anything beyond that. Jasmine nodded. It was like, with a moment's rest in a single cup of water, she had regained herself and her former energy. We need to stop Jafar. He has a lamp with a genie enslaved to it. So far, he has made 2 wishes. One to become Sultan, another to become the world's most powerful sorcerer. The genie wasn't able to grant his 3rd wish because it broke the laws of magic. What was it? Dubon asked breathlessly. Jasmine blushed, faltering in her role as storyteller. Jafar wanted a willing bride, she finally said, forcing the words out. He wanted the genie to make me fall in love with him. Oh, Morgiana said, a little disappointed. Is that all? Why? Jasmine didn't take it as an insult. Aladdin was relieved to see. Because that's what he wants, besides power, she explained. More than anything, Jafar seems to want to be loved and admired. That's why he has those parades and gives out all the coins and makes those speeches from the balcony. He wants everyone, including me, to love him. That's not what I would wish for. No offense, Dubon said, equally dumbfounded. What about all that good stuff you hear about in myths and legends, like a horse faster than the wind or a ship that can fly through the stars? That's what I'd want. Morgiana's eyes narrowed at Aladdin. I'm sorry. Do I understand correctly that you have brought the object of obsession of the world's most powerful sorcerer into our secret hideout? Yes, Aladdin offered with a chagrined smile. She could be a useful negotiating point, Dubon offered. If he knew I was here, he would have already attacked, Jasmine said quickly. I don't think he possesses the power to see through walls, but let me continue. He was enraged when he couldn't make me fall in love. Magic can't do that, or directly kill people, or bring them back from the dead. So right now, Jafar is dictating all of his resources to figuring out how he can break the laws of magic. He was already sent dozens of servants all over the world to find ancient, evil sources of knowledge that may help him. Jafar wants everyone to love him, but he also wants to raise an army of the dead, to conquer the rest of the world. Everyone was silent at the significance of what Jasmine had said sink in. You're joking, Dubon said wide-eyed. I'm not, Jasmine said grimly. I've seen his initial attempts. It's really not a joke. Morgiana spat a curse in her mother's language. Black magic of Shiten! This is serious business, Jasmine, she said almost accusingly. I'm really not sure what is worse, Dubon mused. Raising the dead to walk again and serve him, or a spell that would compel all of us to love Jafar unconditionally forever. Both sounds equally awful to me, Aladdin said. We have to stop him, or get out of town, or die trying. Will you help me? Jasmine pleaded. Will you help me stop Jafar from getting the things he needs to make his nightmare happen? Will you help me throw him and reinstate me on the throne? Morgiana and Dubon looked at each other. We're thieves, Jasmine. What can we do? Dubon asked. You're not just thieves. You're the whole network of thieves, Jasmine pointed out. You're practically an army, and we don't need military strength. We just need to stop Jafar from gaining the ability to break the laws of magic, like by stealing the stuff he's looking for before it gets to him. I'll bet you guys know a thing or two about holding up a caravan. I have no idea what you're talking about, Morgiana said mildly, taking a sip from her goblet. Jasmine ignored her. In the meantime, I can circulate among the people and build up support for my retaking the throne. Build a real power base. The two thieves didn't say anything. Jasmine looked back and forth between them. "What's in it for us?" Morgiana asked, sounding reasonable. "The limitless thanks of a grateful sultana?" Jasmine asked archly. "Not having your mind taken from you and your body used as an undead soldier in the mad sorcerer's army? How about that?" The thief shrugged. "Maybe it's time for us thieves to simply disappear. Relocate. I hear Baghdad is nice this time of year." "Come on! This is Agrabah and the rest of the world we're talking about saving," Jasmine said desperately. "I don't particularly care about the rest of the world. The army of dead can have 'em," Dubon said with a shrug. "Yes, but I don't particularly care for the peacemaking patrols," Morgiana sighed, as if she were talking about a kind of plum. "They make it damn hard for a body of thieves to get a work done." "I'll give you that," Dubon agreed, toasting her with his cup. "And honestly, I have no particularly love of ghouls. A whole army of them might be unpleasant." Jasmine despaired at their casual offhand remarks. But Aladdin grinned. He recognized the carelessness-sounding banter from his longtime friends. They had already made their decision, and they were talking around the subject, like it was no big deal to take on a sultan, a sorcerer, and a genie in a garden palace. "So, will you help us?" Jasmine asked hopefully, seeing Aladdin's amusement. Dubon reached over and slammed his fist onto the table in front of her. Jasmine jumped back. When he pulled away, his dagger was left standing deep into the wood, dark and short and deadly like Dubon himself. "Nobody takes Agrabah from us. No devilish sorcerer and his dark arts. Not an army of them." Morgiana did the same thing, slamming her dagger into the wood in front of Jasmine. "For Agrabah," she pleaded. "For Agrabah," everyone in the cavern echoed. A half-dozen daggers, knives, and stilettos were embedded into the table in front of and around Jasmine by surprisingly adept little arms. "Well, Princess," Morgiana said, "you have an army of street rats. Now what's the plan?"